Bold words perhaps, fighting talk even, but hear me out. All that inspirational educator nonsense Robin Williams peddled in movies he made in between comedies, movies like Good Will Hunting, Awakenings, Patch Adams and Dead Poets Society, is complete bullshit. Especially Dead Poets Society. Oh, Captain, my Captain, pages torn poetically from pristine textbooks. Have you ever tried any of that in an actual school with real-life flesh and blood pupils? I did once, in an East Midlands Church of Education, Church of England Temple of Progressive State Education, when I was forced to cover a science lesson in which no cover work had been set. I prayed to St. Robin for inspiration, sucked the marrow out of life, took the path less travelled by, and had my arse handed back to me by a class of unimpressed year 8s. I'm not in the teaching profession anymore. Perhaps it's not really Robin Williams' fault. Maybe it only works in private schools. Perhaps only Robin Williams himself could pull that off, and only with years of practice in the battle royales of the American stand-up circuit and 4 seasons of Mork and Mindy to underpin whatever he'd learned during his EGCE or whatever the American equivalent is. R.I.P. Robin Williams, but know you did some damage. I don't wish to speak ill of the dead, but Ray Harryhausen is a liar. You know Ray Harryhausen, the special effects genius of Dynamation, the disciple and heir apparent of Willis O'Brien, the creator of King Kong, and the man who made millions making plasticine models move and out-act actors in cinematic tales of Sinbad, Jason and Perseus. I have been thrice lied to by Ray Harryhausen. Let's start with Jason. What have I got against Jason and the Argonauts? The ending. Not the battle with the skeletons. Who could find fault with the battle with the skeletons? Not me. No, the moment immediately afterward when Jason swims aboard the ship the Argo and sails away with Electra, his foreign bride, is where the fault and Ray Harryhausen lie. The credits roll, the film ends. The story continues in the Euripides play bearing Electra's name. Apparently Ray Harryhausen planned a sequel to Jason and the Argonauts, but I doubt whether it would have included Jason's adultery and Medea's retributive murder of her 2 children. Truly that would have been a challenging use and abuse of modelling clay, I think. Line number 2, Perseus and Clash of the Titans. Similar ending, similar problem. Perseus rescues his beloved Andromeda by killing an enormous sea monster with a weaponised head of another monster, Medusa, whose gaze, even post-mortem, could turn any living creature to stone. The credits roll, the film ends. The story continues in Ovid's Metamorphosis, where Jason and Andromeda's wedding is crashed by Andromeda's uncle, who has incestuous marital designs on his luscious niece. And during whatever the equivalent in the ancient world is, where the ancient world equivalent of a reverend, magistrate or magister asks, has anybody reason why these two should not be wed, or words to that effect, Andromeda's uncle throws a spear at Perseus. The ancestor of all wedding punch-ups ensues, only properly settled when Perseus, back to the wall and facing oblivion, produces Medusa's head and turns the wedding party to stone. Ray Harryhausen line number 3, and perhaps the worst lie of all, Sinbad. The honourable rogue of Islamic mythology, an Arabian oceanic adventurer and slayer of great and terrible Harryhausian creations. Ray Harryhausen made 3 Sinbad films spaced out between the years 1958 and 1977. The second and best of these, in my opinion, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, I saw as a small child in the tiny mining village of Hopeley Spring in the northeast of England. In his Golden Voyage, Sinbad fought a sentient ship's head conveying a 4-armed statue of the Hindu goddess of death and a hirsute cyclopic centaur, all animated by Ray Harryhausen under the dominion of a powerful sorcerer, played by pre-Time Lord Tom Baker. Needless to say, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad created an indelible impression on my post-toddler imagination that made the betrayal so much more treacherous. When I read Uncut Sinbad, courtesy of the Arabian Nights, in translated form many years later, when bored one afternoon, manning an unvisited trade stall at Derby University. There are fewer monsters in Uncut Sinbad. A gigantic bird of prey called a rock, and monsters that throw actual rocks at Sinbad ships, and an island that isn't really an island. If there are any other monsters in Uncut Sinbad, I don't remember them. What stays in my memory is murder. At some point, Sinbad is thrown down a hole into a cave full of treasure he has formerly craved and left there to starve. Others are thrown into the same hole. Sinbad murders them one by one as they arrive, subsisting on the scraps of food and drink found on their dead persons, figuratively leapfrogging the dead until he figures out a way to escape. At some other point, in some other adventure, shipwrecked Sinbad also beats an old man to death with a stone. There's more of a justifiable context for this act of violence. The old man certainly, sort of, has it coming. It still leaves a nasty taste in the mouth for a man weaned on Ray Harryhausen's wonderful creations. R.I.P. Ray Harryhausen, but know you did some damage. I don't mean to speak ill of the living, but Terry Gilliam is a liar. The visual wizard, ex-Monty Python animator and director of Brazil, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, 12 Monkeys and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, has tried to bring Don Quixote, Miguel Cervantes' novel of deranged chivalry, to the screen for decades. His heroic efforts to put giants and windmills on screen, perpetually blighted by the god of acts of God, have sent me running excited to the fat 400-year-old novel on my bookshelf on 3 separate occasions. But have you ever tried to read Don Quixote? It's really, really boring.